Hi there, Melissa Newman here. Welcome to Beginning Lightroom. The first time you open Lightroom, it can be a little bit overwhelming. So what I want to do today in our very first video is just show you the environment a little bit, just walk you around and show you the lay of the land, the map that's within Lightroom. This will then help you to understand where to find things and what each area does. The first thing that you need to know is that there's a number of different modules within Lightroom. So we have modules across the top here of Library, Develop, Map, Book, Slideshow, Print, and Web. Now the two ones that we're going to mainly use are Library and Develop. Map is an interesting one because you can actually put a photo on a map of the world. Book is great if you're creating book layouts. We can create slideshows within Lightroom for viewing photographs. We can print our photographs from here, and we can also go on the web and create HTML pages of galleries of images. So there's all sorts of different things that we can do within Lightroom. Our main focus for this beginner's guide is going to be the library area and the develop area. And we're going to be starting off in the library area because it's really important to understand that Lightroom is in fact a library for your images. And how you decide to create and set up your library is very important. Now we have a little series which is completely dedicated to just getting your catalogues right within libraries. Do you remember in the good old days when you'd go into an actual physical library and you would go to a box of cards, and each of those cards had the books and where they would be found? The library within Lightroom is kind of similar to that. It has catalogues because that's what they were called, catalogues. And the catalogues is where you will go and find information on your images. Now there's a couple of different ways that you can use catalogues. You can either have, like I do, an individual catalogue for each client. I find that's easier to control within my archiving system. If you're not shooting a lot at this point in time, you might decide just to have a single catalogue and then use folders for being able to keep your images more organised. There are ways of actually exporting folders out to be able to archive them and that type of thing, but I'm a very simple person and I actually prefer to keep all of my individual catalogues in an individual folder. Let me just give you a quick look at how I set that up on my computer. Now I'm a PC girl, so I like to use my desktop so I know where things are. But what you'll find is that I have a folder on my desktop which is called Photos Initial. So download Photos Initial, and all of my individual clients that I'm currently working on are in here. So these are only my current shoots that I'm working on. Once they get to a certain stage, they then go off and get archived in a different area. So while clients' work is being worked on, or if it's a shoot that I haven't played around with, or it's stuff that I've photographed around home, it sits in here until I'm ready to actually work on it, finish it, and then send it off into my archiving system. Now, for these demonstrations, I've actually created a Lightroom training folder, which is where I'm going to put some photographs in that I can then show you how to use Lightroom with. But you can see that this is how I currently do it. So what you need to do is think about how you're actually bringing the photographs onto your computer. The best thing about Lightroom is that it's a non-destructive environment, which means that your folders that you have outside of Lightroom, where you're storing all your images, that is where your images will continue to be stored. If you're using RAW files, you'll find that Lightroom will not overwrite those files. So you'll always have your RAW files available to you. So it doesn't actually create any destruction to the original, what I like to call almost like negatives. Those RAW files are like your very, very important negatives in the good old film days. Now, when we start to look around here, there's a couple of different areas that we need to look at. You'll notice first that there's these little arrows on the side, and these will let you close and open any of these windows as you need to from top and bottom. On this left-hand side, we have a navigator, which will be able to show us where we are in a photograph. We have our catalogue, which is going to show us how many photographs are in the catalogue, how many synced photographs there are, and things of that nature. We then have our folders, and this is going to show us where the folders are on the computer that we're using. So if we're importing outside of our folder from where the catalogue is stored, those folders will be here and we can pick and choose from those. So if you decide to have a single catalogue, for instance, as you import different folders, you'll then have a list of different folders for that catalogue in here. We'll have a look at that down the track. We can then have collections, and the best thing about collections is we can say this is the final collection and here it is, and this is where we're going to keep it, so that we know that all the other stuff, because quite often you can get a lot of photographs in one catalogue. By creating a collection, it's like creating a little exhibition from that particular group of images. We also have some publish photo services here as well. So you can publish them to Facebook and Flickr, and there's a number of other online services that you can do. I actually don't use this area, but it is very easy to use. And again, it's a personal preference. And if you feel that you're going to be sending a lot of photographs from Lightroom to Facebook, then this is possibly something that you might want to set up. We then have on the other side here some other information. A histogram is something that we're going to learn to use to have a look at what's going on in the image down the track as well. A histogram is like a bar chart of all the tones in our image, and it does help us to get our edits right. We have a quick develop area here, which allows us to change the temperature of the image and do some exposure and clarity and vibrancy. So it's just a very simple, basic edits in here. We have keywording, and keywording is excellent if you decide that you want to create your own, basically like a stock library. It means that by having keywords within your images, it makes it very easy for you to search those images at a later date, if that's what you wish to do. And if you're using a single catalogue with lots of folders, this can be really helpful to find work down the track as well. We then have a keyword list. So you're using a single list of words, and you can actually filter the keywords and change them and add them and that sort of thing. And then we have some metadata down here as well. And we can sync our metadata. We can sync our settings for keywords and that type of thing. This central area here is where we'll actually see the photographs pop up, and we have a number of views for that. We can do a grid view, we can do a loop view, and those are the two main ones to start with that we're going to look at. But there's also a comparison view, so you can compare your images, and we also have a survey view. You can sort your image by capture time, which I tend to do because I like to be able to see them in the order that I capture, but you can actually change them as well. That, again, is a personal preference. Across the bottom here, we're going to have a whole view of images. This is where we have almost like a negative strip. So we'll be able to see all of the images side by side down the bottom here. So up here, we can, if we have it in the grid view, we're going to see all of them as well. But if we have it in the loop view, which I like to keep it in, then all of the images will still be across the bottom here, and you can pick and choose from there what you want. One of the most important things about Lightroom is that you can pick and choose and decide which images are worth editing by using these controls down the bottom here. You can also very quickly turn them around if they're the wrong orientation, and we can filter which images we want within here as well. So by filtering them, we can very quickly pick and choose. We can add color coding to them and all sorts of wonderful things to help us pick and choose which photos we're going to be editing. Now, the next video, I'm going to show you how to import photographs into the library, because there's a few tricks to doing that. So I'll see you then.